Welcome to the live stream, everyone. Today I wanted to talk about Bishop Schneider and his comments on the SSPX and Sedevacantists. Now, it looks like my internet is running a little bit spotty, so let me know if there's any problems with it. So starting out, I want to say that I had initially bookmarked this article for EVTN News, but because it was so extensive, because he had so many things to say, that would have taken up a lot of the EVTN News episode. So, starting out here, Bishop Schneider expressed his hope. Now, this was in an interview. Let's see, the interview was with Aurelio Porphyry, who has co-authored a book on the Mass together with Bishop Schneider. And he said that his hope is that Pope Francis would continue steps toward fuller canonical regularization for the SSPX. Schneider noted that he has already suggested to the Holy See that the SSPX be given faculties to celebrate Mass. He pointed out that such a recognition would remove remorse of conscience that prevents many Catholics from attending Masses offered by the SSPX. Already, said Schneider, Francis has given the SSPX two faculties that are very important for pastoral life, the faculties of confession and conditional faculties to celebrate marriages. So a lot of people are saying, okay, so if Pope Francis gives them faculties to hear confessions, then they're priests. They're valid priests. And what do priests do? They say Mass. They hear confessions. They administer the rest of the sacraments. Maybe the rest of the sacraments, maybe not ordination for a priest, but you get the idea. So they can do limited activities. It's just a very confusing situation. And he said that they should be given faculties to celebrate Mass because they are priests. The Vatican recognizes that they are priests, so what's the deal here? Porphyry then steered the conversation towards the topic of the bishop's general hostility towards the Latin Mass. While Schneider welcomed the FSSP's recently confirmed exemptions from the provisions of Traditionis Custodes, he acknowledged the bishops can still take out their hostility toward the Latin Mass on communities entrusted to the diocesan clergy. Schneider referred to the bishops as scared, and Porphyry asked, they're scared of what? According to Schneider, bishops would say they are afraid of a growth in rigidity in Latin Mass attendees and of the rejection of the Second Vatican Council. So the growth in rigidity, I mean, if the bishop doesn't believe in the Catholic faith, then maybe they would be concerned about that. Rejection of the Second Vatican Council, well, we'll see. Schneider said, ultimately these two arguments are a pretext because they know these young people have nothing against Vatican II usually, and these young people are truly not rigid. They are normal people and joyful, cheerful. Well, these young people have nothing against Vatican II. Well, have they read the Vatican II documents? Yeah. I would say, what would it be called? Weaponized. So, Monsignor Charles Pope says he coined the term weaponized ambiguity for the Vatican II documents. I would say they're weaponized contradiction because they'll say one thing on one line and a different thing on the next line that contradicts the first line. So the Second Vatican Council documents are weaponized contradiction. These young people have nothing against Vatican II. Well, clearly they do. Thank you very much for the comment. How is the stream coming in? Please let me know. CSSML. Schneider says they have nothing against Vatican II. why are they there then? If they have nothing against Vatican II, then why don't they just attend a Novus Ordo? These are awkward topics. I mean, they say, well, we don't reject Vatican II. We have nothing against it. Really? Then why do you go to the old mass? Seriously, think about it. There are a few people that say Vatican II was not, or the Novus Ordo is not what the Council Fathers intended. Oh, really? How many of them spoke out against it? I can think of two. Can you think of any more than Lefebvre and Ottaviani? Pretty inconvenient. He said these young people are truly not rigid. I would say they are. I think they are rigid. These young people are rigid. They want Catholic doctrine that makes sense. It's consistent with how the Catholic doctrine has been for the past 2,000 years. I think they are rigid, and that's not a bad thing. Schneider said the bishops have to admit, if they are serious and authentic, that their hostility is based on their hatred of tradition itself, what the church believed, what the church celebrated before the council. So they want to make a break, a total rupture. Okay, there we go. That's more of what I was saying. When Porphyry asked Schneider how the Vatican should deal with Sedevacantists, so that's the end of the SSPX comments. So this is really interesting, what Schneider had to say about Sedevacantists. He said, with Sedevacantists, who generally believe the papacy has been unoccupied or vacant since about the beginning of the Second Vatican Council, Schneider said he believes the Holy See also has the pastoral duty to approach them. And so I think in terms of Sedevacantists, you have to be careful what you say, like, or how you label people, because there are people who, they are genuine Sedevacantists who reject that there is no, or they believe that there is no valid pope since Vatican II, but then there are also people who are skeptical of Francis, and there's independent groups, and so I think that it's really tricky here. But this is what Schneider is saying. He says Schneider said the ecumenical dialogue with the Vatican has been very much engaged with the Orthodox in past decades. Sorry, I read this. I might have left out a word. Schneider said the ecumenical dialogue with which the Vatican has been very much engaged with the Orthodox in the past decades should, if the Holy See is being consistent, be extended to Sedevacantists, since they are closer to us than the Orthodox and do not deny any dogma directly, including the dogma of the primacy of the Pope. The Orthodox, on the other hand, formally deny this divinely revealed truth. It's really an interesting thought. Schneider suggests that just dealings with Sedevacantists must take into account mitigating circumstances. He attributes their stance to the crisis of the Church, which he says authorities of the Holy See have contributed to. Wow. He thinks that an effort to approach Sedevacantists, however, would only be possible when in Rome, divine providence will grant against strong and courageous. Divine providence will grant again strong and courageous Orthodox popes who proclaim and promote the complete integrity of the Catholic faith, liturgy, and morals. Okay. So he wants Rome to dialogue with the Sedevacantists. So if the Sedevacantists are truly concerned about the about the papacy, and if they truly believe they're Catholic, what's it going to take for them to, I guess, come to terms with Rome? Because it is of the SSPX opinion that the Church needs a visible head, and so even if Pope Francis is speaking heresy, then it doesn't, they still acknowledge him as Pope, because there must be a line of succession. Otherwise, if he vacates the papacy, then all the episcopal appointments that he makes for bishops, cardinals, all of those are invalid. And then what do we have? We have a church that won't exist because there are no valid cardinals. There are no valid bishops to ordain priests. There are no valid cardinals to vote for a pope. So then how do you get a pope? How do you get a Catholic pope? And so I think they need to determine how just what would how we would get a Catholic pope, I guess. So that's pretty important. And but yeah, I mean, I think if Rome would reach out to these groups, these Sedevacantists groups, and the problem is there are a lot of fractures amongst the Sedevacantists groups. So you have like just a few, and some might not even call themselves Sedevacantists. Some might just call themselves independent. So you have all these different branches, and just because there's this one group, just and I think the biggest problem is like some of them they question the validity of your baptism. So if you had a Trinitarian baptism, it might not be valid according to some of them. I don't know. That's weird. But the problem with some of these groups is that if you live in, unless you live in say middle of nowhere Wyoming, and you have this Sedevacantist church, unless you live there, then you're not obligated to attend mass anywhere else because they're the only ones that have exclusive rights to the doctrine of the Catholic faith, and there is no pope, so they're the only ones that know what's going on. I don't know. It sounds kind of like what Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't know, or maybe one of these Protestant groups. I'm not calling them Protestant. Obviously they believe in they believe in the doctrines of the Catholic faith. It's just I feel like they're maybe a little misguided. But dialoguing with them, if Rome did reach out to these groups, I think it would be pretty interesting to see what would happen. Now, Bishop Schneider says, to my knowledge, there are no weighty reasons in order to deny the clergy and faithful of the SSPX official canonical recognition. Okay, this is going back to the SSPX. He noted the SSPX believes worship and conducts a moral life as if it was demanded and recognized by the Supreme Magisterium and was observed universally in the Church during a centuries-long period. Believes, worships, and conducts. Okay. The bishop also noted that the SSPX recognizes the legitimacy of the Pope and the diocesan bishops and prays for them publicly and recognizes also the validity of the sacraments according to the Edito Typica of the new liturgical books. And I think this is a really important point here. They recognize the diocesan bishops. So I don't know this for a fact, but I think from what I've heard, they name the diocesan bishop in their canon, which is is it the offertory prayers or the Eucharistic prayers? They say we pray for whoever, our bishop. I don't know. You'll have to let me know in the comments if that's true or not. And also I've heard that the SSPX at least makes an attempt to dialogue with the local bishop. So especially for weddings, marriages, I think you need permission from the local bishop, I believe, for a marriage, and so they work with them on that. At least they try to. I don't know if you need permission. I don't know the full story. I've never been through that process, so I don't know. Schneider's conclusion was because the SSPX recognizes the legitimacy of the Pope and recognizes the validity of the sacraments according to the new liturgical books, this should suffice for a canonical recognition of the SSPX on behalf of the Holy See. Now, I don't know that so this is good from Bishop Schneider. Good job, Bishop Schneider. I appreciate this interview, but I don't think they're going to get full canonical status for a very long time. simply because, have you been listening to the SSPX Crisis in the Church and their podcast series? There was a special edition of Father Pagliarani. Um, he gave he gave a speech in was it French? I think he's French. He's one of the SSPX district superiors. Or is he the superior general of the SSPX? I'm not sure, but he has a high position there. And in this speech, he basically said that they're not looking for the Latin Mass to be given a separate rite. He said that he agrees with Traditionis Custodes in the idea that there is a sole expression of the Roman Rite, the single expression of the Roman Rite. But they disagree. He disagrees with it because the Traditionis Custodes says that the Novus Ordo is the sole expression of the Roman Rite. The SSPX believes that the Latin Mass is the sole expression, the exclusive expression of the Roman Rite. And because of that, they won't concede. They won't take any concessions. So while I would actually be fine with the Novus Ordo in the Latin Mass, so the Latin Mass being granted its own separate rite status. So really, it's all it takes is just for the Pope to say, okay, the Novus Ordo is its own rite, or the Latin Mass is going to be a separate rite. We'll call it the Latin rite, and then the Novus Ordo will be the Roman rite. Okay, I would be fine with that. I would actually be really happy with that. And so would the FSSP and the Institute of Christ the King. But the SSPX says no, we're not okay with that because the Latin Mass is the sole expression, and the traditional sacraments are the sole expression of the Roman Rite. The Novus Ordo is not. So now, like I said, I would be okay with the FSSP getting its own rite. You know what that would mean? Bishops, traditionalist bishops, and so they'd be consecrated in the traditional rite, and hopefully, I mean, I don't know, maybe not, but it would be good. I think more traditionalist bishops would be better. Now there are some that find tradition, but I would like to see a Latin hierarchy, and if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. I think I don't know. I think we sometimes, for me, I might get caught up in terminology, maybe, I don't know. But to the SSPX, no, that's not acceptable. So I don't think they're going to get full canonical status for a while. Now, I don't know if this is even a possibility of having the Latin Mass as its own rite. I don't know. But if it were, I could see the Roman Rite fading away very quickly. I could easily see that. So, I don't know. Now, this is a good effort, but he's the first one to really bring up Sedevacantists. I mean, since when? I don't know. But most people consider these fringe groups, and maybe some of them, from what I know, some of them kind of are. But maybe some of them, we need to see what they're at. And we need to dialogue with them. And I don't know. So, yeah, this is going to be interesting. Okay, CSSML. I think we should start referring to it as the Catholic religion. That's a powerful word and one that libs don't like. Faith is more fluid. Yeah, so like they talk about Christians. I'd rather the Novus Ordo be gone. Yes. Not interested in watching the priest's face, and certainly not in watching a performing seal. What about Sarah? Are you interested in getting blessed with a guitar? What did he say? Heavenly Father, rock with us as we roll with you. Unbelievable. I mean, I shouldn't be laughing. That's blasphemy. But what about if you do a banana, like the banana thing, peel the banana, do that in mass during a confirmation mass. What about that? What do you think? See, and that's one of the things, getting off a little bit into a different subject. Taylor Marshall is now like live streaming these videos, so he'll find a ridiculous Novus Ordo video on YouTube, and he'll live stream it, and he will have that video on his his channel. So yeah, he will have this video on his channel, so that then they the video is there whenever the church shuts down this their videos or their YouTube channel, because this has happened several times from what I've seen. He's done was it the Saint Sabina in Chicago, the one where it was basically like a performance, and they didn't even call it a mass, but the priest did some not invalid, but illicit consecration prayer. He kind of freestyled his way through it, and he used like this wooden boat thing to hold the consecrated hosts. This is so weird. And then Taylor Marshall also showed the guitar blessing. And both of those parishes, by the way, they at least made their videos unlisted, so we can't watch it, or private. I think they made their channel private temporarily because they were live streaming masses for the people that were too terrified to walk out of their front door. But here we go. So embarrassing. They were lied to. They'll never get that. Who was lied to? CSSML. Who was lied to? Was it the kids who were doing the banana chant? How many of them are actually going to ever return? Like, how many of them are going to leave the faith? Probably at least 90%, probably more. And can you really blame? I mean, yeah, you can blame them, because outside the church there is no salvation, but I don't know. I mean, it's pathetic, though. Okay. It's really going to be on the souls of those great, like the music person who did this stupid chant, the people who ran the faith formation, and this priest who allowed it to happen and encouraged it. That's rotten. And if the bishop doesn't do anything about it, it's on his soul too. Frankly, some of these masses are satanic. Well, don't have much to say on that one. I think it's more dangerous. Black mass is obviously satanic, but it's more dangerous to have a mass with all this crazy, goofy stuff going on than a black mass. I mean, yeah, the black mass is openly desecrating the Eucharist, but what about some of these ridiculous priests from what we're seeing on Taylor Marshall's YouTube channel that he's talking about? So, I don't really know. All right, well, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. We are the laity, and we will not be silent.